Hi, this is lesson number 8 and of the mini course Learn How to Code with Python. And in lesson number 8 we will look at looping. One of the powers of computers is that it can do the same task over and over again with high precision, much more than human beings could ever do. And one of the constructs to make this happen in a computer is by initiating what's called a loop. So let's see how you can do this in Python. Basically, in Python there are two kinds of loops. There's the for loop and the while loop. So if you want to let's start with the while loop, which is most simple. And for instance, you can continuously, without ever stopping, let the computer do something by saying while something is true, so maybe just true, print 1 to the console. So if you run this, Python will print out the number 1 to the console continuously with ever stopping until we stop the program. So if we run this by pressing F5, it will continuously run and run and run and run and run until we press Ctrl C, and we've interrupted the program and it will stop. So this is one of the powers of loops, but it's also one of the trickiest things of loops is that it can go on forever and ever without stopping. And sometimes if you're programming and making some very complex programs, you might introduce something that's called the indefinite loop. So without having the intention, the program will continuously do something and get back and then do something again and get back and do something again, and which eventually might even crash a computer if it eats all the resources. But for now, let's say loops are very useful, and we could make the loop not indefinite by using flow control. So we can introduce what's called a counter in a while loop. So for instance, we can set the variable count to 0, and then we can say while the variable count is less than 10. So that's similar to the if statement. So while the variable count is less than 10, we want to print out the count itself. So print out count. So if we run this, it will again forever print out the count, which is 0. So what we want to do after printing it out is adding 1 to the count. So we do count is count plus 1. So after having printed the count, it will add 1 to the count, and then it will go back. It will check again to see what the count is, which is it's 1, and then it's 2, and then it's 3, until it's 10, and then it will not will get out of the loop. So let's run this and see what it does. So it prints out the first count until 9. So let's see why only it prints out until 9. So let's say the count is 9. At this time it's still less than 10, and it prints out 9, and then here the count becomes 10, and then when it checks here, count is 10, which is less than, is not less than 10 because it is 10, and then it will stop and it will not execute the print statement and will not add anything, and then it will continue one line lower. So to show you that actually after the while loop it breaks out and it continues. I will put another print statement here, and we will call this end. So after the while loop has finished, it will continue with the script and do whatever is there, and it will print out end. So if I run it again, it prints out 0 to 9 and then end. So that's the while loop. Another useful looping mechanism is the for loop, and it's particularly handy to loop over a list of values. So you can say, for instance, for a number in a list of numbers, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, print out that number. Yes. So what this will do, as you might guess, it will print out number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it will continue on the next line and it will print end. So let's run this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then end. So a for loop is very handy to loop over a list of values and then do something with those values. So those were the for loop and the while loop, both very useful looping constructs that let you do operations for a certain amount of times or indefinite times. I hope you like this lesson. I am sure it's very useful to know this. Let me know in the comments below what you think about it, and if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next lesson.